public. All right, so we need a few more people to jump in here. So I appreciate everybody that's going to jump in. I guess I'll talk to everybody that's going to watch this on the replay at first because we don't have anybody just yet. But title of the video, the best unaverage fragrance picks for 2022, and I'm going to have a special guest. It's actually themed around him. Those of you that have been around this community a long time should know an unaverage Joe. In my opinion, he's actually the real king of the live stream. Maybe not the king of hosting the live streams, but as far as guest appearances, this man is the king, and today is just going to add to that resume. So let's go ahead and get him on. I see the Sour Patch Kids in hand.
Absolutely.
Joe, what's going on, my man?
Hey, what's going on, Ross? Hey, chat. Thank you, Ross, for hosting me here.
Man, I'm glad to have you.
Long time coming. I'm really glad that I was able to do this today, for sure.
Dude, I honestly, we were talking about this before we went live. I think it's criminal that as long as you've been around, your channel's not bigger than it is, man. Because you're as authentic and original as they come, right, as far as making fragrance content. So right. I hope, if nothing else from this, obviously we're going to have some fun chatting about some random stuff, but I hope some of my audience decides to go check your channel out, because I do have an unaverage Joe linked in the top of the video description. Please go check out his content if you like what you see. Turn that red button into gray and subscribe for sure.
What's going on, everyone?
And for those of you that don't know, his signature is eating Sour Patch Kids on live streams. That's just what he does.
So much so I got my own custom box now.
That's badass. How many people have a custom snack box? I mean, come on. Shout outs to Ken for the $9.99 super chat. I've become to expect that, Ken. You seem to do that every time I have a live stream. Random ass fragrances in the house. Luis Perez, his scent of the day is Toyboy. Yeah, everybody drop your scent of the day. We got an 1821 man-made scent of the day from Captain and Coke. Shout outs to the Mafia. What you got, Joe?
The Lone Parfum from like almost 6-7 years ago.
Now, is that when it was still labeled Parfum Intense?
Yeah.
Before it became L'Intense?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I have the L'Intense version of it. I have the newer version.
Yeah, no, this is really. I forgot I had this until today. I smelled it. I found it when I was getting some things together for the video, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I have this. Yes.
Mine says the L'Intense.
Exactly.
Same juice. As far as I know, it's still just as powerful. It's like 7-8 hours on my skin. It lasts a good while. Not super loud or anything.
Good to see everyone in the chat. Everyone.
Like, yeah, we've got 24 so far. I appreciate everybody. Yes, drop your 69s. Drop your 69s that are here from the Mafia.
Absolutely. I do it, but I'm on stream. But yeah, definitely.
Dan Malik, there's a Mafia member right there. Polo Red Extreme.
Oof, that's a good one too.
Yes, I've smelled it. I haven't buckled down and bought a bottle. I have the Intense, I have the EDP, and I have Rush, Red Rush, but I don't have that one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Hey. Aaron's in the house.
Le Wiz.
Appreciate you, Aaron. Thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. We got 69s all over the place. We got it. We got to drop the double C if somebody's going to mention Cuddles Crew, you know.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, I'm just saying we got to include everyone, you know. So.
Absolutely, because the community is the community, like he and I were talking about when it wasn't live. That's one of the things that keeps us coming back is the community aspect of this. Even though it has changed over the last couple of years, that's the best part, is enjoying the hobby together, you know?
Absolutely.
Is that your big 20 big trucker? I'm not familiar with what he's getting at.
I have no idea either. I'm kind of lost, to be honest, but
Donovan, I appreciate you. So why are we here? So title of the video, unaverage fragrance picks for 2022. Now, what that means for me is stuff that's either not that popular, doesn't get a lot of limelight, stuff that I really want to spend more time with that I just haven't given the type of love that I should.
Right.
Or some things that I enjoy that others don't. Is that kind of a fair assessment of what we're titling this video, Joe?
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes.
You want to start us off?
Yeah, actually. So the first one that I'm going to pick has been getting a lot of resurgence lately, partially on my end.
Mm-hmm. Shout outs to Joey. Joey Hungus in the house.
Hey, Joey, what's going
the
on, bro?
the main host. I was giving you your credit earlier. That even though Joe's not the king of the stream, he's the king when it comes to guest appearances on these streams, and you're the main reason.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Shouts out to Joey. Great channel. Check him out if you haven't. But my first unaverage selection is one that a week ago, 2 weeks ago, you did the one with Justin.
Yeah, it was
Um,
like 2 weeks ago.
yeah, and so it got bought up. It is a Pasha de Cartier
Did get
edition
brought up.
Noir. I just got this bottle at the end of last year. Um,
Sell me on this fragrance because I've been very interested.
okay, this is you would wear this, in my opinion, the way it doesn't smell like it, but you would wear this the way you would wear La Nuit de L'Homme, or you would wear Dior Homme Intense. Now, it has a lot of iris. I know you yourself like iris. It
I
does
do.
have violet leaf, so it does have that. A little bit of mint. It keeps it fresh. It's not overly floral, but it
That's what
does
I'm
have
hearing with Violet Leaf and Mint. Yeah.
it has a nice woodiness tone to it, almost aquatic like, but not it has, that noir type of style theme to
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Um and just especially if you could get this like on some sort of discount for about the 3.4 ounce for about $75.
That's what I've been seeing them go for. I've been having my eye on it for a little while now.
Steal of a price. Again, because like the regular La Nuit, even though there's Blue Electric now,
Mhm.
but the regular La Nuit, the performance is neutered. The Homme Intense costs like 3 times the price of this. You kind of get something similar because it has the little powdery touches, the violet leaves that come from like the La Nuits and everything.
Does it
And
have similar sweetness to it?
it's not sweet though. That's the good thing. So
Ooh, I was about to say I like that.
if you don't like sweet, then this would be the happy medium of the two, and then making something like it's like almost a totally different offspring even. Um,
That's awesome to
it's
hear because there's so much sweet out there in the designer market when it comes to darker scents. Something that would be labeled noir or have a black bottle, it's usually very sweet or sweet
right.
spicy. It's very refreshing to hear that it kind of veers from that a little bit.
Has a little bit of patchouli too. So just FYI to those who may not like patchouli, but still this is done very well. And yeah, the few times that I was able to wear this because of like it being colder and just holidays and everything, I didn't go out as much. But
Mhm.
now going into this year, I definitely on nights out. This is my go-to night out scent. Period. Dot. So Cartier
Pasha
edition.
de Cartier Edition Noir. So I was already very interested. Justin kind of sold me a little bit, and I think you pretty much kind of nailed it down. I need to get it because I plan on buying some fragrances this month for sure. And I've
Nice.
procrastinated getting that for a while now. I love the Parfum. I haven't tried any of the. I've tried the original, but I mean I don't own a bottle of it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one oh yeah, Joey's got a point. 51 watching and only 13 likes. Come on, guys, hit the thumbs up. Gotta love Joey.
Absolutely not. Joey's awesome for real.
So for me, this is actually what I'm wearing today. This is a new release from Door Perfumes.
Ooh.
Shout outs to the Mafia members that came out to the little event that me and George did. This is called Narcotica. This is made by
Nice.
Claude Deer. This is a 28% extrait de parfum, and it's more of a smoky sweet type of oud with
Mhm.
kind of an earthy, dry green cannabis. It doesn't really have the weed smell, even though it's a pretty prominent cannabis. There's a little hint of it if you really look for it, but it's not overwhelming like you smell like you just put a blunt out
Right.
or finished smoking a bowl or something like that. So I
Yeah.
like that because there are some of those marijuana heavy fragrances that, yeah, they smell nice, but boy, it's a challenge to wear that in public unless you just want people to think you were smoking.
Right.
You know
Exactly.
what I mean? So whereas here, it's a very warm amber scent, but the
Mm.
oud that was used is what makes it so different. And
Nice.
it's got, for an oud fragrance, I've said this every time I've talked about it, it's got something intoxicating and alluring about it. It's really captivated me. Everybody that tried it loved it while we were there. And I had to, this was the one bottle I left with when I was there. I had to have a bottle of this stuff. It's pricey. It's $280,
Right.
but they do decant them and they offer different sizes from their website. This is one that everybody should try because there's not too many different oud fragrances these days. Is that fair to say?
Definitely not.
There's a lot that kind of piggyback off of one another's success and do similar profiles. That's kind of the way of perfumery these days, especially designer market and more mass appealing niche, Manceras, stuff like that. That's not the case here with Narcotica. The reason I wanted to pick this one, not just because I'm wearing it for the day, but not too many people know about it. I mean, Door Perfumes is a small perfumery in California. They have 2 locations. They're not even a niche house, technically. They're a small perfumery. So I really wanted to shed some light on this one because more people, this is stunning. More people need to try this. That's the only thing, though. It's super, super expensive.
It is. It is. Would you say this is like a fall and winter type of vibe or year round? How would you kind of?
I wouldn't wear this year round. This has definitely got more of an upscale approach, even though I'm wearing it with a thin hoodie.
Nice.
It all it's a confidence thing. You know how it is. When you wear a serious fragrance, as long as you understand the situation, some fragrances can wear you if you don't dress appropriately.
Right.
That's never the case with me. I have a confidence about my stature, so I'll wear whatever anytime. The shit don't bother me. But as far as the scent profile as a whole, I would think evenings out is where this is really going to shine. Daily wear and cooler weather, which I do have some pretty cold weather outside, but definitely a little bit dressier than it is casual. Something I would go maybe polo and above is really what I would say is the proper attire for this one.
Absolutely. I just realized in this list, mine is actually right there. Give me 1 second.
Hit me with it. Shout outs to Aussie Fragrance.
Definitely shouts out to Aussie. Good to
What's
see
up,
everyone
Mark?
here.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody stopping in. We got 64 watching currently. Plum and Cognac from Scent of Woods. I'll actually let Ken, I would like for you to answer that. Ken's sending me a decant. I haven't smelled it yet. Him and Brian from My Two Cents have told me it's incredible.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I've heard it's incredible. Ken's actually making me a little care package of decants, and that's going to be one I'm going to be talking about on the channel. And I love plum scents. I love boozy scents. Bound to be good, right?
Right, absolutely. My next one for the tobacco lovers out there is one that is another recent one that I got. I got to thank Pat from Scent Assault, another great YouTube channel.
Shout out
underrated.
to Patrick.
This is a part of Precious Liquids Limited collection, and this was the Tobacco Royal. Now, he sent me the whole travel atomizer thing. Here, hold on. Travel atomizer. And I have 2 things. Like I have one in here, and then I have one more vial right there. So I have more than enough to wear for like the year. I really do like this tobacco. It's a really good one. I really like Tobacco from Zaharoff, but they are 2 different beasts. This has a lot more of like a peachy tone, a little bit of vanilla and everything. I like to say that if Tobacco is the experience, right? Like you're sitting in your chair, you got your feet up, you got your cognac in one hand, the cigar in the other, maybe some music playing. It's taking you to that type of place in like your man cave.
I'm loving this picture that you're painting.
If you're sitting there like that, Tobacco Royale is literally just the cigar. Tobacco is the experience. Tobacco Royale is literally just the
actual cigar.
The type of cigar, right? And
like one that you've been smoking on for a little bit. It's kind of moist from your saliva, like you've been puffing. It's kind of a moist tobacco, would you say?
Exactly. Slightly dry, actually. It's a little bit dry. So maybe like you literally are about to light it. It's really good. I really like the fact that there's like that peach in here, and it almost like took like some of the harshness even from like tobacco vanilla out and softened it. It's a really well done combination. And that's one I know because it's limited and it's hard to get and everything. I recommend people at least try it.
I won't say experience.
Just to get the experience. It is worth trying right now. They had a few others from the collection. I did like Amber Suede and Salt and Pepper, which is a part of this too. And they had a oud one. Probably Amber Suede is my second, but in terms of for this list, the Tobacco Royale or Tobacco Royal is number 2 for sure for me.
Damn. Is there any like smoky nuances to it since you say it's kind of a drier tobacco?
It's Not really. It's really like almost
It's
if
like
you
the
take
unlit cigar, pretty much.
right, like if you kind of just rubbed it
Just
across your
passing.
nose
Yeah, I
really
got you.
quick. Nah, it's really good. Fall and winter though, or like a
That's what I was about to
very
ask.
very romantic date setting or like celebratory setting of sorts. If you go into like some sort of award show or something, but
That's quite specific. I like
it's
that.
it
I like that.
it's very good. I mean, it's a definite solid. It's still not better than I like the cognac in tobacco. I like the vanilla and the honey.
Mhm.
The
Yeah,
honey.
it's so well
You,
blended.
yes, absolutely.
Shout outs
But
to George. I talked to George about 20 minutes before we came live. He's
nice.
out and about running errands right now. I'm shocked he isn't. He must still be driving. Otherwise, I'm sure he'd be in here because he
Mm-hmm.
knows we're doing this.
Love George. Shouts out to George.
Shout out to George Zaharoff.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, shout outs to Dan, Bon Vivre.
Oof. Bon
Right
Vivre.
now, there is a special pricing on the two. If you have been interested in getting Gravitas or Bon Vivre or both, now is the time. It's like 90 or 100 pounds off the normal price when you buy the two. It's like 60, 70 bucks or something is the equivalent, if I remember correctly. It's a hell of a deal. This is one that I'm actually going to give myself a little spray right now. This one speaks to me more than Gravitas because it's just
Right.
a fresher green, gentlemanly type of smell. It's very refined. It's not a
Right.
t-shirt fragrance in my opinion. It's
No.
one that's a little bit classier for a freshie. I mean, it's Dan's style,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one that I enjoy so much that for some reason, I guess because I get so much all the time, I wore it 2 or 3 times and it just kind of ended up on the shelf. And I really want to go back to it this year. This is one that I was talking about deserves more love from me, and I just haven't been giving it the love it needs. This is the
Right.
fragrance I was referring to. Beautiful, bright, authentic, creamy citrus. It's not
Mm-hmm.
super creamy, but it's not as zesty of a citrus. Like it doesn't have that sharp, astringent quality to it, like super,
Right.
super juicy,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still a bright citrus. And then there's a lot of different greens. I believe there's a lemongrass note in here that
There is.
maybe adds to that greener citrus type of smell it has. Performance is stellar for being fresh. It's another one that's an extrait. This is just
Mm-hmm.
lovely, lovely fragrance. It's got a little bit of a spicier edge than some
Right.
of the other fresh fragrances out there. I heard some people wanting to compare it to Eau Sauvage and stuff like that. This has much more character and density than an Eau Sauvage. Similar vibe, sure, but scent profile, disagree.
Completely agree
Disagree.
with that.
You have a bottle of this too, don't you?
I actually have a decant from Juan. He
Mm-hmm.
allowed
Shout
me
out
to
to Fat Boy.
definitely shouts out to Fat Boy. So I don't have the bottle, but I have tried it. I like it for freshies, but
Mm-hmm.
freshies aren't really my forte
Mm-hmm.
100% of the time. So it's weird because my next one will be a freshie, but kind of sort of.
Happens.
But as like a fresh fragrance, Dan definitely did his thing with that. I'm interested. It got me interested now to try Gravitas because I haven't tried Gravitas yet, like at all. So it
That if you like patchouli, it's a
mhm,
patchouli. It's a love letter to old school patchouli fougere styles. It's more patchouli than it is a fougere,
right,
um, but it's a creamy, beautiful patchouli. That's
right,
definitely a sport jacket fragrance. Very, very good
uh,
fragrance. But like I said,
yes,
I find this is that much more versatile because it's fresher. You know what I mean?
nice. Hmm.
This is a fantastic spring fragrance. Speaking of Juan, his ears must have been ringing. Shout outs to Juan. We were just
Absolutely.
saying that Joe's got a decant of Bon Vivre from you, actually.
Hmm.
So shout outs to Juan.
Hmm.
Dana Malik with the 199 super chat. Joe, let me try some City Rhythm frags. Love Miami. I agree. Miami's my favorite as well. For those
Mine
of you that
too.
haven't tried any of Niall's fragrances, they are fantastic. Manhattan's great, but Miami's just a stunner, in my opinion. It's so
And
good.
I love the fact you could wear it spring, or you could wear it like you. It's deep enough that if
Yeah.
you want to wear it in the cold, you could wear it in the cold and not feel out of place of sorts.
No, because there's such a warmth from the rum that it does have a good for being a fresh Miami themed fragrance. It does have a strong warming quality, and the performance is definitely there to hold strong through no matter how cold your climate is.
Right.
Stacks in the house.
Good to see you. Good to see everyone. I appreciate everyone coming through.
CK, shout outs. We got a lot of Mafia members in the house. Drop a 69 for the Mafia. Make Joey feel good. Joey's in the chat, guys.
Yes, please do it one time for the family,
Yeah.
But I'll go on to my next one. My next one is actually one that is very underappreciated, extremely. And that's why I'm bringing it up right now, especially since I'm on your channel. I'm going to use the platform to almost resurrect this one. This is an old Fragcom staple. Lacombe Hypnos.
That's one I've never tried. Nobody talks about that.
It got talked about like in the Drakdoc days and like the older time, when Joey was like a teenager still doing YouTube reviews, and when I just started. And
I'm sorry. I read Joey's comment.
I want to feel good.
Make it feel good.
Make it feel good. But honestly, I feel good when I smell, which is why, like I said, I'm not big on freshies, but something about like the mint, patchouli, woods, cardamom. There's a cardamom vibe in here. And for about $45-$50 for this 2.7, basically their big bottle.
So when you say cardamom, heavy on cardamom, you know what I'm going to ask?
Yes.
Any relations to Lana Weed Delone whatsoever? Because every time anybody hears cardamom, that's the first thing you think,
No, this is a little bit more on the spicier side than the like powdery kind of glorified side. There is really powdery touch. There is a powdery touch, but it's more spicy. There's mint in here too, patchouli. It's a callback to those like almost 2000 2005 style fragrances, even like your like Tommy style of fragrance, but more spicy.
That fresh edge that leans spicy.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely my jam.
This is a good one, and again, 35 for 50 ml or like 45 for.
Do me a quick favor.
Yes.
Hold that label up to the screen for me real quick.
Absolutely.
I'm curious. I don't want you to have to remember to message me. I want to see. You have me interested.
Lacombe Hypnos.
All right, got it. I am going to look into that one after this stream. Actually, you have my attention here, Joe. That one sounds like something I would really enjoy. Shout outs to the 82 watching. I appreciate everybody.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a signature scent style type of fragrance. Absolutely, you could wear this year round. I prefer it in the spring, the warmer times, and maybe even a little bit in the fall, but not so much like holiday fall, right? Like the season that we just left. Like I'd wear this like at the beginning, like September into October fall, where it's just starting, as opposed to because once the
pumpkin, still kind of warm for the most part.
Right. Plus, I'd prefer the tobaccos and other things that more spice at that point than this, but very good, very, very good fragrance.
Okay, well, damn. All right, I wasn't expecting that. Now I'm going to end up buying a damn fragrance after this. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate that.
No problem.
So for me, this is one that most people seem to hate. I've heard bug spray comments. I've heard all kinds of shit. And you may think this way. I'm not sure your thoughts on this. I actually think this is basically Invictus Aqua with a synthetic rose that dries down to a little bit of a dry powdery rose. That being 1 million cologne. Nobody likes this fragrance. Me and you, we're the only two. From what I've seen.
I like it. I don't have a bottle of it, but I do, because by the time I went to get the bottle, it was gone. So.
Because they're so cheap. This one's a tester. You can see it says tester through the bottom right there. So
Joey likes that one too.
Really? Damn. We need to talk about this one more. Shout outs to Joey Hungus liking it too. I didn't know you guys liked it. I had a feeling this was going to be one of those things where you like that shit, Wasn't expecting y'all to be into this. So this is one, according to Joey, he wore it just a few days ago. And then here we go. This is usually the case. 1 million cologne is a weird one. That's how most people feel, Juan. We're few and far between on the people that enjoy this fragrance.
Right.
See, look, here we go. Now, it's coming on. But for me, I oddly enjoy it. I did a review on it like a year and a half, 2 years ago. I haven't really spent much time with it since I was doing testing for the review. This is one I want to go back to. This is the one I was talking about that most people don't like,
Right.
that I actually really enjoy. The most hated 1 million flanker, hands down.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And like I said, it's got that Invictus Aqua vibe with this. I think that synthetic rose that they use here is what gives people that bug spray off-putting type of vibe from this one. I could see where it's polarizing for a lot of people. It actually performs really well on my skin. I think it smells. I've never gotten a compliment with it or anything like that, so I can't vouch for if it's ever going to do that. But it's one of those fragrances that I just oddly enjoy, that I never seem to see any love until right now from you and Joey for this fragrance besides myself. You know, obviously geared towards the heat. It's a fresh type of fragrance, aquatic vibe, fruity, fresh citrus type of stuff, but definitely different. Not your grandma's rose fragrance for sure.
Not at all. It was weird for me, like Joey's saying. It kind of had like this, like, I wouldn't say it was cat pee for me, but it was a little weird. But me just
it's strange. The first time you smell it, it's strange.
Right. I wish I would have gotten the bottle when I did. I'm definitely on the hunt for it now. And that's just a really good one. Absolutely.
Well, you can't call it underrated, really, because the masses don't like it. You know? But this is where that, I know Neil, shout outs to Neil. I saw he made a little 2-minute video about subjective being a wiggle word. No.
Right.
Subjectivity is a real thing. I like this. Most people don't. That's the case.
Exactly.
Know? Look, shout outs to Mark. Mark seems to like it. I know Mark has a bottle. I've seen Scent of the Day posts. Mark usually does a lot of his posts either on his desk or at the gym. Love the Scent of the Day post, Mark.
Absolutely.
What you got for us next, Joe?
I got my next one really quick just because I saw a comment, and it's weird because I actually have it in queue for me to try, or because I have a sample. There's a few comments up from Juan. It was something about Maschino Toyboy. I don't know if you've tried it.
That one. Let me scroll up. With Toyboy, yeah, I have a bottle of it. I don't see the Toyboy comment. I'm scrolling up.
It's like
I scroll up a good ways.
It's 118 right above CK saying Mula Mula 118. What's your thoughts about?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. So I am actually, while it's cold now, because I'm in New York, so I'm going to look to try that soon. But maybe if you want to give your thoughts really quick before I queued my next one up, because my next one is kind of a deep 401 too.
So I almost yanked my headphones out from reaching far back, but I actually have a tester bottle of it right here. So this is another one that's a weird one that some people, me. This is a weird one. It's not just the bottle. It's the scent profile that's weird about it too. Not everybody's a fan of it. More people are a fan of this than 1 Million Cologne, but you got to like rose. This is another rose fragrance. This one's not quite as synthetic. I've heard people, like you're mentioning right here in the comment, it be niche level. I wouldn't put this in that level of quality. But for what it is, yeah, the quality is definitely good. It's a fresh rose that has it starts to go into more of a fresh, spicy tone as it moves into the heart. It's got this oddly dark floral tone that supports the rose. I forgot which flower it is. There's another flower in here that's not typically used, kind of like an inky type of floral smell almost that I get from it. It performs. It's a little loud. I would be easy on the trigger if you don't want to scream your ear when you walk in a room with this one. But I wouldn't agree with the niche level comments, but I would say for a designer, especially for the $40-50 you can get this for, that I've said this is kind of one of my sayings, I guess you could say, it punches above its price point. It smells like $100+ fragrance that you can get for half of that.
Gotcha.
And it's unique.
Okay.
As far as a rose fragrance, it is unique.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Okay, so yeah, I have the sample. I was looking to actually try that this week, so that's why I was like, let me get your thought.
I don't want to mispronounce the R word. Regalian? Meftum Regalian is like Toy Boy, but way better. Noted, Juan. Noted. Actually, let me write that down, too, so I don't forget. Because I'm always up for new olfactive experiences. That's for sure.
While you're doing that, I'll go into my next one.
Yeah, hit us with it.
to me is a little bit of a signature scent. I wore this again and I just remembered how much like BDE, how much just in general of a just amazing person I felt, an unaverage person. And I need to get another bottle because I will be going through this all this year.
Disagree, by the way, to this comment.
I find, got you. Yeah, nah, I'm not sure yet, but that's hard to see. But yeah, I'm going with Kiehl's Original Musk for another one that I'm really, really, really going to be blowing through this bottle of.
That's definitely an unaverage pick right there. I've never heard of this one.
This one literally from Kiehl's store, or you could, I think, Nordstrom or Dillard's, one of the two that have the Kiehl's kiosk also carry it. It's their flagship. It's literally just a spicy white musk fragrance.
Shout out to you, Rob.
But it is so good. And honestly, a lot of people have found this to be sexy on me. And I just like the testosterone, especially if I'm coming out the gym. Like, and I have that pump go, you know, when
I get it, man.
Pump and everything. It's like spray some of this and then like go on to like maybe a
when your male pheromones are really rolling at the time, it mixes good with your oils.
Absolutely. This thing is really, really good stuff. Don't wear this maybe in the dead heat of summer, but on a summer night, you know, something like a date night or a night out of sorts with friends. Otherwise, year round, you can get away with this. Less is more also, but
Understood.
I still go at least 4 sprays. Because it is eau de toilette. It's not this isn't the parfum. They have a parfum version. This isn't the parfum. This is just the eau de toilette.
Have you tried the parfum version?
I haven't, but I've heard it is much more animalic. Not to be confused with
it takes away a lot of the freshness.
Right, and takes away some of the things that I do. Like, it's a lot more of that, more niche. So somebody who has this is more mass marketed, whereas the other one will be more niche centric.
Yeah, it's going to be more of a targeted audience than that one, basically.
Yeah,
that's more enthusiast level and above kind of thing.
Exactly.
Makes sense. Fragrance Mafia says, Joe is one of the first reviewers I started watching on my journey. Great to see you, brother.
Hey, great to see you, Fragrance Mafia.
Like I said, one of the originals whose channel is criminally small. It should not be as small as it is. Guys, subscribe to unAVERAGE Joe. It's at the top of video description. I don't expect you just to click it. Check out his content. Right. If you like what you see, make the red button turn gray.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate anyone who will subscribe, even just watch my video. I'll appreciate it.
Yeah, the unaveraged name goes with his thought process and his presentation. There's nothing average about Joe. It's very unaverage. That's why I wanted to base the theme of the video on Joe, because I love the concept with Joe. Love it. Been watching Joe for many, many years myself.
Mm-hmm.
Layer it with Koros. Noted. Appreciate
Interesting.
That. Yeah. I'm not the type to really layer, though. But I'll take your advice on it.
I'll try it. I gotta find corals first, but once I do, I'll definitely be on the lookout to then.
My dad used to have a bottle of Koros. It's been years since I've smelled Koros. I never get around to just buying a bottle.
Right. I passed up on it when I first started. Obviously, like you first get into fragrances like this and doing the whole YouTube thing, the first thing you're more interested in the bottles that may get you compliments or that you like that will get you compliments, not so much something like Koros that's like urinal cake almost vibe, you know, very different.
Old school as it gets. Yeah.
Right.
Very 1980s smell for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So for me, speaking of very dated 1980s smell, that was a perfect segue. I'm glad that we talked about Koros first, because just people that love classic masculine fragrances are the only ones that really enjoy this anymore, I think.
Ooh,
the original Polo.
Polo green. Nice.
Look, I know it's been reformulated to death. It's still a solid performer. It's not as dense as the bottle I had back in middle school, but I still love this stuff. And I just got it last winter. Started wearing it pretty heavily as soon as I got it, because it's just such a nostalgic fragrance for me. I was that kid in junior high wearing this to school dances. I loved this stuff back in the Gap. And back when I was like 12, 13, 14, this was what I wore to school dances. And it's one of those fragrances that I can't get enough of going back to. And we're in that season where I'm going to start wearing it. And for those of you that watch my weekly rotation videos, you're about to start seeing this pop up. Not necessarily every week, but you're going to start seeing this a lot more because it's one I need to go back to that I'm so glad I reacquired and put back in my collection. I've had a bottle in the past, obviously probably 3 or 4 formulations ago, but this is one that, like I said, gets the old man tag, the dated smell, smell, you want to smell like a grandpa. That stuff cracks me up when I see it because this is a classic men's fragrance. This deserves all the props that a Cool Water, a Drakkar, it deserves all the love that all of those old fragrances get, in my opinion. And I'm definitely going to be going back to this one a lot more this year. Obviously, cooler weather. I would not advise wearing this in the summer. Not the most dressy fragrance, but not the most casual fragrance either. Definitely one that goes well with an Oxford, though. You know, or a nice jacket.
Clean cut. Absolutely. Blazers and all of that.
It's refined, but not too serious. That makes sense.
No, it does. It definitely does. And I mean, just thinking about like the older fragrances. I mean, I was born '89, so I'm not like I don't have any.
I'm 85,
nostalgia.
so I'm not much older than you. I'm just 4 years older.
Right, but like even like I had no ties to anything of any sort of. I'm December 27th, even like I didn't. I wasn't even like.
You're almost a 1990s baby.
Basically, so but. I do want to like get into a few more vintages. I do, especially I saw it in the chat mention something about Drakkar Intense.
That's why I just pinned it
about that.
My man Easy posted it. Look, I'm not a big fan of the original Drakkar. For as much as I like that style of fragrance, Drakkar just never jived with me. But I am pretty excited about Drakkar Intense. I'm probably going to blind buy like if they do like a 50 ml or something. I'll probably blind buy that. And do a first impressions. I might even do it on a live stream. And I just have higher hopes for it. I don't hate Drakkar. I'm not saying that. It just was never one. I used to have a 30 ml many, many years ago, and I went through it. I wore the whole thing, but it wasn't one that made me want to buy it again, like a Polo or a Tommy or something like that. Where those, it's like I always want to have that, you know?
Right. Absolutely. Dang. Yeah.
Now
it has me in the nostalgic feels. What's the best?
Do you have a nostalgic pick for us?
I don't have. Well, I have a nostalgic pick for my time, which is actually my next one. But to answer this question,
let's catch up on some of these real quick.
The best one actually was right here. Even I had it just in case. But I won't use it for that since I'm gonna answer this question. It is a Calvin Klein Euphoria Amber Gold edition.
Ooh.
This one is very.
That one's got some hype behind it.
Yes, I found this like 3 years ago in Ross, and
shout outs to Ross Dress for Less.
Absolutely, shouts out to all Rosses, and so I ended up getting this for like $40. This is 100 ml, $40, leather amber honey with like herbal earthy tones to it. Like it has like some patchouli and some like thyme and like a lot of.
So it's like a dark sweet fragrance kind of thing.
Right. Well, it's not super sweet. It's very amber resinous. Like it's totally different from anything Euphoria's ever made. This, if you've smelled anything in the realm of something like an Amber Absolute from Tom Ford in any like niche level amber like that. That's this for $40.
No shit. So it's like not a Calvin Klein quality. It's above that.
It's definitely above it.
Because I have Euphoria Intense and I wasn't impressed. It just kind of sits on my shelf. I don't even really wear it. It's okay. It never makes me want to. Ooh, let me wear this. You know.
Yeah, and they have a few
great things about that.
They have a few others, like they had regular gold or some other type of ones,
like
but
a rose
this
gold one or something like that.
Yeah, this one is amber gold, and this $40 100 ml best rack store purchase I've had ever, really.
It happened twice where I came across a clearance bottle of Acqua di Parma Colonia Club. I actually sold one of the bottles because I'll never go through the one bottle that I do have. But I paid like $12. It was red tag clearance.
Nice.
For a freaking Acqua di Parma Colonia fragrance, you know.
Nice.
Granted, it's Colonia Club. It's super crazy mint. Like, it literally feels like I put menthol and ice on my skin when I spray it. I've never had a fragrance give me that type of cooling effect. It's almost like putting Florida water on a rag on your forehead. It will cool you down instantly. That would be my craziest find anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Dracar, we got a lot of Dracar comments. Aramis. My dad used to wear Aramis all the time.
OG Green. Aramis.
Oh, God, I'm old. 85 man. As well. Stax is not 85 years old.
No, definitely not. Both are still
93.
babies.
All right, now y'all getting goofy with the ages now. Ryan, how are you? Shout outs from the job site. He works with my uncle on the job site.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. I met him when I was in town at my uncle's for Christmas.
That's awesome.
When we went to eat dinner, I ran into him. He's like, "Hey, man, saw you on the live stream the other day." It's just wild. It's not all the time you just run into somebody randomly that watches you on YouTube. It's still kind of crazy to me, you know.
I think I've only had that happen to me like twice.
I've had it a few times, and it blows me away every time. There's I don't know if any of you know Vape Time. He's got a little small channel. He's active in the Facebook groups. He actually works at the Safeway right by my apartment. I see him all the time.
Nice.
Yeah, he cracks me up. I ran into him at Marshall's when I was filming a Marshall's video, and he like stepped back and looked at me. He's like, "You filming a rack store video?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "It's kind of weird seeing you film it."
Right.
Like, yeah, well, you want to be in it? And he's like, No, I don't want to be in it. So,
okay, well,
random stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Graduated in the 90s. I did not. I'm 15, you're 14. Bunch of goofy comments. I'm trying to get caught up real quick. Shout outs to AR 1 minute fragrance reviews. Superstar on the IG space. So I got one left.
Me too.
I got one left. So that's going to make for 10 then. Or no, that would make for 11 if you have one more, huh? No, it don't matter. We didn't put a number on it anyway. But no secret. Right there. Fan of Happy Land fragrances. And my favorite that I'll continue to tell people they need to try because it's the only mass appealing fragrance from EJ, and I just love it so damn much. I couldn't stop wearing it when I first got it, and throughout the year I will be putting more of a dent in my bottle of Shameless as well. This stuff, when you look at the note breakdown, you're going to think it's Aventus, and it's not. I was worried. I literally said it in the first impressions video. I was horrified that EJ made a damn Creed Aventus clone.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only thing that's different is it's citrus notes in the top, and there's lavender. Aside from that, it's pretty much the Aventus note breakdown as a whole. And when you smell it, the balance is completely different. It's more of an orange ambergris smell in the opening with a little bit of the black currant, that tart fruity smell.
Right.
And then it gets a little bit soapier from that lavender once the citrus starts to calm down, and then it's really kind of turns into a blue fragrance because it's so heavy on the ambergris. It kind of gives it a salty aquatic type of feel to it. Performs great. I have gotten a few compliments from this one. This one is just super enjoyable. The most mass appealing fragrance we've talked about, at least on my side, in this video so far on this live stream. This is just my favorite. I don't think EJ can release a fragrance I'll enjoy more. Because it's no secret. I like the easygoing type of scents. I enjoy something challenging here. Now I'm wearing a oud cannabis fragrance right now. I do wear other things, but my cup of tea is always the mass appealing, easygoing stuff, and this is that. He's got a bunch of random gourmands and different fragrances. There's something for everybody from Happy Land, but this is my jam for sure.
That's awesome. I gotta check out Happy Land. I haven't yet, so I'll definitely have to get with you maybe on like a must try first type of list. Like, which one should I try?
Well, I need to send you some decants because I got bottles of everything.
Okay,
so I can send you some decants. We'll talk after. I'll send you some decants so you can try it. I'll make a highlight of the house kind of sample pack, I guess.
That works. I'll
send you the stuff that I believe are must try from the house. They got some spicy stuff, some gourmand stuff, a couple things that are kind of wacky, you know.
Hey, that works for me. You know, I'm a fan of the unAVERAGE the wacky and unaverage. So, that works. My last one, I'm going to be really quick just because it's more so a thing of now that I'm like, we've kind of talked about it a little bit, the community, how it was, what, getting in contact, the unity, back to your roots, starting from square one. This was a fragrance that literally started from square one. It's one of my 3 favorite all-time fragrances, and is the fragrance that Al from Street Sense recognized me for, and it is one that I've had many memories with in the night. It is by Killian's Back to Black.
Got a Killian sighting.
Yes, by Killian's Back to Black. It will be one. Now, I know people like to scoff at the fact that like it's not the same performance anymore, and it's not. But for me, it's more so the nostalgia. It's the memories that were made. It's the compliment. It's the confidence. Not even compliments. It's the confidence that I feel, which forces the compliments, if you will.
Yeah, because when you walk with your chest out, you have a big smile on your face, and you just look happy and approachable, you're likely to get a compliment from somebody.
Exactly. So this is for those who haven't tried a like very sweet honey. It's tobacco, but I don't see it as tobacco. It's more of a powdery, honey, sweet type of fragrance. Borderline gourmand-ish, but in my opinion, not even that. Just a really good spicy fragrance, and I'm going to get another bottle because the good thing about Killian's, they could refill. So I'm down to like my final 5 ml, and I'll be getting another bottle and then rocking this all year round for sure. So that's going back to my roots, going back to where it started. So
that's that. And look, that's to say that's one of your fragrances that brings you back to your roots. That's impressive, because that's not a cheap fragrance. That's not even an affordable fragrance. That's as luxury niche as they come, going with by Killian.
Right, but because Al shouted me out on that one, like that's the one he shouted me, he shouted out Chad, and like he almost did like his rookie draft class, like, hey guys, follow them, support. Like he just did a video dedicated on, and he used my Back to Black video because he was like, I've never seen anyone describe Back to Black like that. So check him out. So that's why it's
shout out to Street Sense. Shout out to Al. I only jumped on Back to Black late last year, epic, 10 plus hours. So Mark apparently gets great performance, and it's probably a newer bottle. If you bought it from a discounter or something like that, it's probably a newer bottle, I'm sure. Though you can get lucky from time to time, because beginning of last year, I bought my bottle of Creed Viking, and it's a 2018 batch. I bought it from FragranceNet.
Nice.
So you never know. They might just have old stock sitting there, and not a lot of people are buying it. So we're pretty much caught up on the comments. So anything exciting going on for the week? Anything pressing for the month of January?
Nah, I mean, I'm just here to like make content again. I'm back. I'm no longer taking hiatuses. My sister's 18 now. I mean, competition season will be like in April and May, but that just means more travel vlogs. Like I do reviews while in front of different I did one for Daytona Speedway, right in front of Daytona Speedway, while reviewing Invictus Legend. And just, different location on-site things. But all in all, what had me cause the hiatus is because of just she was younger, keeping up with her day-to-day practices. She's 18. We're in New York. She could take subways. She could drive. So I get a lot of my free time back. I'm mostly on people's streams. I'm a big proponent of being on like Joey Cannoli's stream, just because it's
Joey
so
stream,
fun.
Juan stream, Mr. Smelly.
Yeah.
That's why I say he's the real king of stream, not for hosting, for appearances.
Right, exactly. But like Joey stream is just the family vibe. So it's like, okay, you go out, you do everything for the day, and then you come home to your family, and then you could kick back, relax. So that's always why, like, I'll always come back there for sure, more than anything else. But just making some content, not really doing too much really on my end. Watching wrestling, absolutely. AEW,
I figured we were going to talk wrestling at some point because we got the fragrances out the way. Now it's free for all conversation. We talk about what the hell ever.
Exactly.
We got the topic. Oh, lost me for a second. Accidentally hit the wire. But yeah, AEW. Look, for those of you that don't like wrestling, I apologize, but he brought it up. We're going to have to talk about it for a minute. Talk to me about storylines. Do you like what you're seeing?
I have to say, okay, first of all, I'm going to start with the women first. I am a gentleman, and so we are going to start with the women because that Ty Conti, Bunny, Anna Jay match that just happened, the street fight with Penelope was amazing. It's good to see women get into the throes of that. I mean, I'm not a fan of like when they do the mixed match.
Yeah.
But when it's women on women and they give you the same booking like you would for the men, and the women can actually do the spots, because some women can't. I mean, you work with what you got.
Because honestly, when it comes to an extreme match, Britt Baker's the queen of that shit. I'll argue that down with anybody. That match she had with Thunder Rosa last year, that was great.
Very good match too.
And I thought Ty Conti was about to get her nose broken when Penelope hit that moonsault and just kneed her right in the face and didn't break the table in that match.
Right. That pile driver at the end on Penelope that she hit through the table and the barbed wire going around Bunny's
while
neck.
Sitting in the tax.
While sitting on the tax.
That had to hurt.
I got to give it to that. I am a big Adam Cole fan on the men's side. Huge Adam Cole. He filled the void of CM Punk for me. I am a CM Punk guy through and through.
I know. I've seen your shirt.
Right. So I am a CM Punk guy, but with Adam Cole, I've grown to appreciate him. I didn't actually like him that much when he came in with the Bucks. I mean, it felt a little out of place. Now it seems like, okay, he's grounded again. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes with that. And Punk, you could do anything, anytime. He's just going to be real good for me, Well,
he's a nostalgia act that was top of his game for the longest time, and people have been begging him to come back for years. So he can do no wrong at this point. Heel, babyface, it don't matter. Because his character can work the whole spectrum, and everybody's going to cheer anyway.
Right.
He can do a heel move, some heel spots. He can say some heel stuff on the stick, and people are still going to cheer because it's him.
Exactly. Tell it like it is. Be who he is. I mean,
I'm so glad they got him working with MJF, though.
That was so great. I was there for the Long Island show.
That promo was so freaking good. And then for them to double back on SmackDown. No, it was on Raw. I'm sorry. The Edge and Miz promo, the following show, and they're like, "You're so popular, they're saying your name on other shows." Like,
yeah.
Off of each other. That shit's great.
But here's how it messed up. How good it was, but how messed up. I am a CM Punk. Like, it's ingrained in my brain to be a CM Punk fan.
Mm-hmm.
But because the momentum of the crowd in Long Island with MJF, when they did that promo of him like coming out the car in Plainview High School, which is maybe about 15 minutes away from where I live, but just doing all of that and then turning him.
And I know what you're thinking, and he starts nodding. That's right, he nailed all the chicks.
All the chicks. And then to have CM Punk come out and they booed him, I started to boo, and then I'm like, wait a minute, no, I like Punk. What am I doing? But just the momentum.
They're pulling the emotion out of you. The booking's so good. Right. Jim Cornette gives Tony Khan 10 kinds of shit. I think Jim Cornette's just stuck in the 80s too much.
Very much so. Very much so. Some of the stuff I agree with. A lot more stuff with WWE.
We've lost some viewers, but sorry guys, we're going to talk about what we want to talk about.
Right.
If you want to stay, can stay.
Absolutely. It's kind of like that though with like fragrances and fragrance community. Like there's just booking, like people coming together. It's like both of y'all use y'all strengths, and that's why like something like AEW is good, because they're using like, okay, CM Punk could work the mic, MJF could work the mic, y'all just go. But CM Punk could do something with like this raw. I forgot what was the dude's name that he like got into a feud with part of the Taz team.
Oh, with Powerhouse Hobbs.
Hobbs, yes, exactly.
He ended up wrestling Hobbs just to put him over. He's booking with people just to put them over and give them spotlight. Because if you're in a match with CM Punk, you must be something.
Exactly.
Give you an opportunity to perform.
Exactly, and that's why, like, I see that, and I'm like, wow, the fragrance community should kind of do a little bit. Everyone in the fragrance community should watch AEW as far as like reviewers and stuff, just to be like, oh, okay, let's do that, and then like get together backstage or something like this, and then now we use each other's strengths and combine each other what we're good at to make it entertaining for everyone watching, because I mean, it builds at that
Well, at
point.
the end of the day, this what we're doing right now is just for entertainment purposes. It's our own opinions. We're just shooting shit, having conversation. We talked about fragrances. Now we're big wrestling marks. We're talking about wrestling.
Exactly.
It's just for entertainment.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, everybody should try the fragrances themselves. We're just giving our opinion. We're just here for entertainment. At the end of the day, just because I like it, doesn't mean you will. Just because Joe likes it doesn't mean you will. Exactly. That's what it boils down to with fragrances. It's just about the community aspect of talking with one another, being friends, sharing experiences, and then he and I just happen to be big wrestling marks. That's why I knew at some point we were going to do this. And I'm pretty confident with this question that CM Punk is your answer.
Right.
I'm a Shawn Michaels mark. Nobody has been able to pull emotion from the crowd in my experience more than Shawn Michaels, whether he was a shit heel, 90s dickhead Shawn Michaels with a drug problem, 2000s Christian Shawn Michaels, whatever. Every stage of Shawn Michaels, from a performance standpoint, the ability to pull emotion out of the crowd, to connect with the crowd, and to be able to do any and all spots with any and every one he's ever been in the ring with. I'll argue down with anybody that Michael Hickenbottom is the greatest wrestling performer of all time.
Absolutely.
It's a hard argument to pose against,
especially with The Undertaker, right? You got The Undertaker, you got Triple H, but a lot of people will fall on Triple H because he didn't work with as many workers. But Undertaker, classic, everyone knows him. I mean, you've got like even Bruno Sammartino for somebody watching.
Well, a lot of people are going to say Flair because of what he did. It wasn't about Flair doing all the high spots. It was Flair would go into a territory and make their top guy look great and steal it from him at the end. Flair, until MJF can surpass, Flair's the greatest heel of all time.
Right.
Ric Flair is the greatest heel of all time because he was that guy. He would rub it in your face about his money and go nuts, and he just passion and loud. He's old school wrestler meets modern snot-nosed prick. That's who Ric Flair was for so long, and that's what puts Rick in that upper echelon. But as far as a performance standpoint across the board, that's where I say Shawn Michaels, which he modeled himself after Flair in the beginning anyway. That was his favorite wrestler.
And to a lesser degree, or to a somewhat degree, like Flair and somewhat Michaels paved the way for somebody like Eddie Guerrero. You know what I'm saying? Like with the promo, but at the same time being dirty and like doing what they had to do to just get the win. Because Flair, dirtiest player in the game, or dirtiest wrestler in the game, whatever his moniker was.
Dirtiest player in the game.
So what I'm saying, there was that. Ultimate Warrior was really good.
Not really. He really wasn't. He was a good character.
That's what I mean.
The character was great for kids. The wild colors, the crazy super, prehistoric superhero was kind of, he looked like a caveman full of bright colors the way he acted. I get the appeal for the Warrior, but he was a terrible worker.
Right. He flopped a lot, Hitman Hart, though, that's basically, I was like, but even then, Bret the Hitman Hart took over like that 90s era anyways over the Ultimate.
That excellence of execution thing is a shoot. Everything he did was perfect.
Right.
As far as movesets and the way he executed it, that was a shoot. So let me answer this real quick. He's asked a few times. I'm more of a Fragrance Net guy than Fragrance X. Later this evening, it's going to be a video for tomorrow. I'm actually going to shoot an online buying guide going through all the popular places, eBay sellers that I find trustworthy that I buy from, as far as it's places to buy niche, places to buy designer. I'm actually going to make a video on that topic specifically. That'll come out tomorrow.
Nice.
Fragrances and wrestling. That's right.
Hey,
Nobody likes John Cena.
No, I do, although
don't
I've
hate
grown to
John
appreciate
Cena.
him because he left.
Same. I respect John Cena for literally carrying the company and making kids come back, because John Cena took over after an era of when guys our age were all that watched wrestling, and kids had got away because it was too parents weren't letting their kids watch that kind of stuff. Not 6-year-olds. John Cena brought the 6-year-olds back, and the merch sales skyrocketed. So I appreciate what he did for the era that he took over.
Right.
He was the stopgap, basically.
I wish he would go back to Dr. Thugonomics just one more time before he calls it quits. He needs to
he did it around WrestleMania when he wrestled Bray Wyatt. When he wrestled the Fiend.
That wasn't like I need it for more than just, like I need him to go back into character and be that character, like how
Run the gimmick for a little while.
Right, not just for one night only type of thing or like one match, because it was really like even mid-match type of. But
yeah, that was for being a cinematic WrestleMania. That was the highlight of the WrestleMania. Besides the AJ Undertaker match, that was the highlight. Was what they did with the Fiend and John Cena.
I like that match.
Shoot so much stuff. I did. I really did.
It. I know a lot don't. It's like the 1 million cologne of match.
There you go. Of WrestleMania matches. FragranceBuy.ca is a great spot to buy. I bought more from them in the last year than I have from FragranceNet, actually, because they more obscure is not really the word, but I guess not as easy to find designers to hit discounters sooner than later. Usually they hit Fragrance Buy before they hit Fragrance X and FragranceNet and places like that.
Got you.
So that's kind of where I think FragranceBuy.ca shines a little better. Wrestler that had a lot of potential but didn't get enough chances. Benjamin. For me. I'm assuming Shelton Benjamin. That's a good point, because he's one of the craziest freak athletes ever on TV.
He was good. He was a part of that class too, with Orton, Batista, Cena.
Yeah, he was OVW.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think he's asking us our take as well. He's just giving his answer as Benjamin.
Oh, okay. So somebody who had potential. You know who I'm going to say? It was the tag team, and you may not remember it, but it was a. Well, no, you'll actually remember it because he's been wrestling. I just realized one other. John Morrison. I was gonna say Brian Kendrick.
Been all over the place. Brian Kendrick. I don't know if he's still a trainer for WWE, but for several years he was a trainer.
Right.
I think he's still there. He's trained a lot of the women that have taken over. Him and Fit Finley kind of spearheaded the women's revolution as far as training them for the spots and stuff like that over the last 15 years.
Right.
Brian Kendrick's a damn good answer. He showed up in TNA for a little while when TNA was hot years ago. That was kind of the last I've seen of him on TV. For me, that's a tough one. I'm still trying to figure out who it would be, because it's not necessarily about chances. It's about lost too soon. If Brian Pillman wouldn't have died at such a young age, I think Brian Pillman had so much more to do in the business. He died in the beginning of the Attitude Era. And his son will never, Brian Pillman Jr. can try, and I love that they're giving him a chance because he's his son, but he'll never be what his dad was. His dad was a legit, unique personality, the loose cannon, all that. He could do everything. He was a worker. His legs were shot to shit when he was in WWE during the Attitude Era, but he was doing all these crazy spots, backdrops on the metal ramp, all that. So that's somebody that, had he not died younger, I think his career would have blossomed more, because he was a mastermind at getting over, and he could do all the spots. Brian Pillman would be my vote.
That's a good one.
You can't smell me. There you go. John Cena, a couple of John Cena. Strong With You Only. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I haven't tried it yet. That. I got to get my nose on all of them.
So apparently it's an upcoming release. It's the next flanker, because Absolutely was the newest one. That I plan on getting later this month. Best tag team of all time. He's going with the W's.
Tables.
Yeah, get the tables.
Has to be the Hardy Boys.
That's a great answer. That's hard. Those are both from the same time frame and have done a lot of the same things. Shit, I'm more old school when it comes to that. It's hard for me not to say Arn and Tully.
Or Road Warriors even.
LOD, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a great pick. I think I'm gonna go with the Road Warriors because they were over everywhere they went around the world. It's even been labeled a Road Warrior pop because they get such an ovation. They were such a unique tag team that were big power guys that could do some athletic spots. And I think they're the most decorated tag team of all time besides the Dudleys.
Right.
So I think I would go Road Warriors.
So many. It is so many.
Yeah, there's so many good ones though. We're leaving out. We're shortchanging so many tag teams by just picking one each. You know.
I mean, just alone we're shortchanging Evolution, like just like that, like
Edge and Christian. We just two of the three from the historical tables, ladders, and chairs matches. We left out Edge and Christian. You know, who are still going in their old age better than ever with storytelling. You know, Christian's got Jurassic Express under his wing, and then Edge is right in the top of the card, making people mad. He's making the Miz matter right now. I just finished watching Raw before we did this.
Nice.
Because now it's a tag. Now it's going to be him and Beth Phoenix versus Miz and Maurice. So that's WWE. They're good at making moments, but they're not that great with storytelling anymore. Because the most interesting thing going on right now is that feud. Because now adding Beth Phoenix really adds to it. And everything going on with Brock Lesnar, because I love his new character. Yes, I've never liked Brock Lesnar more than I like him right now.
I'm so mad everything happened with Roman though. I started to finally come around on Roman, and now
I love Roman. I love heel Roman Reigns, Tribal Chief. Everything before, he's always been a great performer, but he wasn't likable. He's more likable as a shit cocky heel.
Exactly. I was always Dean Ambrose got like amongst the Shield. I always liked Dean Ambrose amongst the three, and even Seth Rollins to a lesser degree. But like Dean was always like tried and true for me. Like I just found it funny that he had the U.S. title for almost like a year and a half or something, and like only defended it once.
Yeah, he never had a match with it. They just kind of gave him a belt here.
Right. It was like, here, I was like, hey, I kind of like that. And he just kind of always was arrogant about it.
Well, his John Moxley character, you really got to see how shackled he was, because I love how it amplified the character he already had when he went to the Indies in AEW. When he went to New Japan and then ended up in AEW. I love that they played Wild Things, his music now. Hope he gets better. Hope he comes back soon. Because I love the John Moxley character in wrestling. He's the badass, don't give a shit, walks in with this swagger, does his shit, walks back out the crowd. I love that. That's a Stone Cold kind of character. We didn't have a Stone Cold type of character for years. Shout outs to the 7 that are listening to us talk about wrestling. Or 67, it just dropped.
Yeah,
it is what it is. I don't care if we got one person watching. We're talking wrestling right now.
Yes, this has been a long time coming. Like this, we've been on.
Yeah, we always talk about. I see you, Joe. It's all the time with me and him. Now we're actually getting to sit here and talk about it.
Absolutely, I fully expect to cross Lesnar to Rumble.
Well, they've set up for a swerve. They've set up for it. It could happen.
Right.
But I don't think Heyman would have got the Superman punch, which was the most fucking pillow shot ever.
Right.
When you watched it in real time, he's like barely touched his skin. It didn't even look like he really punched him. But I don't think they would have had that spot if he was going to go back to, and then for him to bury Roman Reigns in the promo on Monday Night Raw and say karma's a bitch. Oh yeah, want me to prove it? As soon as I left 1 week later, he got COVID. And that's an easy virus to beat, but karma is much more bitchy. Like it's literally, I don't think these spots would be happening so ferociously, technically, for how they're trying to do them, if it was going to be a swerve, but you never know. Because I don't give WWE's creative enough credit to do that. Even though Paul Heyman's on creative, he's still shackled. WWE's creative's not near what it could be. Is that fair?
Nah, it definitely would have been better had Heyman still been on the team. But now that they replaced him with what's his name last year, and just like completely neutered, they started firing everyone that Paul Heyman was trying to like bring up. That this new direction I'm hesitant on. There is no more benefit of the doubt. You got to show me basically
Yeah.
what they're booking.
And when Vince came out and said publicly that he doesn't see, like the audio leaked of him saying that he doesn't see AEW as competition, I think it's good for people to be able to go over there. Who else can we send their way? I think that's stupid, because AEW is the hottest thing in the business. Everybody, if you don't like AEW, you've been happy with the bullshit WWE's been feeding you for the last 20 years.
Exactly.
And you haven't missed WCW in its heyday at all, because everybody that loves AEW has been itching for some alternative, even remotely close to WCW. And in my opinion, this is better than WCW ever was.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Michael's
Almost all action. I agree. Yeah. I agree. Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. It cracks me up how Cody's running with it. He won't turn heel, so now his new thing is babyface heel winner, and it's checked off his new shirt. I love that, because they boo the shit out of him, but he refuses to turn heel. So now he's just going to do some heel stuff here and there, but he's still a babyface. I like what he's trying to do, because Arn Anderson's enough heel for him as his manager. Arn Anderson's an all-time heel that's respected. You know.
I want to know your thoughts on this one.
Well, I know I'm a big Chris Jericho mark. I've been waiting to get to this one too. I've been seeing it sit there for a few minutes. So, in the grand scheme of things, for what I think he's overstaying it. He's just playing off of his name at this point, because those lion salts are heartbreaking to watch these days. Like every time he lands on somebody, I'm like, ooh, because it's never like it used to be. He never lands on him stomach to stomach and really catches it with his knees on the mat. The knees catch their stomach. So it's rough. I mean, he's in his 50s now, but his matches still mean something. He did put the company on his back. They needed Chris Jericho to really get this thing running.
Absolutely.
And so I think Chris was the right person. Everything aligned with him going to New Japan and doing those spots with Kenny Omega and then Okada and all these different. He started doing other things, and it was brilliant to bring him in. They're paying him a lot of money. It's interesting to have him on the mic when he's not. He has the freedom to go do the Fozzy concerts and everything and travel. As far as his full body of work, he's at a minimum top 10 all time for me. I can't necessarily put him in the top 5. Like, I know that he touts himself as greatest. Yes, he is one of the greatest of all time, but I can't put him top 5, because I'll argue down Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, and Bret Hart right off the bat above him. Mm-hmm. That's 3. All it takes is 2 more. How do you not put Randy Orton's full body of work? And he's still not even in his 40s yet. And he's still at the top of his game. Everything he does means something. I would put Randy Orton in there, believe it or not, over Chris Jericho.
That's fair. I could see the point. I can see it.
There's a lot of careers for full body of work and what their matches mean every time they do something that you can argue above Chris Jericho so much. I think those 4 have to go above him. And even then beyond that, the Macho Man Randy Savage, boom, there's 5 right there. How has there ever been a more unique character? Mark Calloway, The Undertaker. That's the 2 most unique over characters of all time. The Macho Man Randy Savage and The Undertaker.
Everyone knows both.
I'm at 6 now. So he's already out the top 5. And I have an AEW as Jericho shirt. That's the AEW shirt I own. I'm a big Jericho fan. I love Fozzy. I love Chris Jericho.
Inner Circle. I love what he's doing with the Inner Circle.
He's really putting those guys, because Santana and Ortiz, what's wrong with me? They've been doing things in Ring of Honor and all these different places, but they're elevated by being associated with him. Sammy Guevara immediately gets put on the map with him. Jake Hager, what's his character mean outside of the Inner Circle?
Right.
He was a bland character. I like Jake Hager personally. I follow him across all social media. He and I agree with a lot of the same things. I love shout-outs to Jake Hager. But as far as his body of work and what he can do and how they portray his character, it doesn't mean even remotely close to what it means not being associated with Chris Jericho.
Right.
Chris Jericho, just by being together, puts him over. So he's able to elevate other talents. That's where his power comes in these days. And the stuff he was doing with Kevin Owens before he left WWE. It was putting Kevin Owens over. It was interesting. It was one of the most interesting things WWE had going at the time, which says volumes about how terrible their creative is. That was the best thing they had going. The list and the celebration of friendship, and you remember all that shit they were doing?
The list in itself was so classic. Yeah,
it was hilarious.
I literally am echoing the same thoughts, and I was going to feel the same way. At best, he's a top 10. He's not a top 5 for me. I'd have to like really sit back and think. I love the fact that he's reinvented himself so many, even with the weight gain, right? Like he's gained
That's
weight.
what he's the best at, is reinventing his character. Nobody's better at that than Chris Jericho. Not
at all. Even The Undertaker couldn't. Shouts out to the American Badass, but
it worked. It definitely worked, though.
Right. So, I with all that being said, maybe a top 10. I if you lay it out for me, not you, but if it was laid out for me, then I would maybe make him a top 10, but I can't make him a top 5. So
yeah, I can't do it. As much as I like him, I just can't. I have to be very objective in something like that when it comes to all time. There's just so many I have to put above that when I look at the body of work.
Absolutely.
Yes, you have to buy 5 fragrances, which I always, anytime I'm buying from somewhere, I usually buy a handful of fragrances. You end up seeing a bunch of stuff you want. Stronger with You only. Main note is grapefruit. I can't see that being a seller, big seller. You may be right. They're due for a dud. I mean, Freeze was the closest thing they've had to a dud, and it's actually a nice fragrance. It's just the most uninteresting of them, from what I understand. I haven't tried all of them yet.
I mean, look at YSL. They came out with 50 L'Homme flankers and La Nuit flankers. Some of them aren't great, so do enough, you'll miss once.
What do you think of Galeria Parfums? I think it's a fragrance line that involves gent scents, and I think it's a fragrance line that I have not tried.
I have not tried either.
Yeah, that's what I think about it. Very skillful. However, he did have some good runs. However, you could definitely be much bigger. I'm not sure who he's talking about. We kind of got behind on the comments. We got stuck on the topics. We're talking wrestling. We're going to get stuck on the topic for a minute.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, yo.
Gold.
Favorite era? How do you not say the Attitude Era?
Attitude Era all day.
I mean, it's got to be.
That
especially our generation, guys in their 30s and 40s, late 20s to mid 40s. I can't imagine anybody saying anything but the Attitude Era that's in the wrestling.
Absolutely. That's slam dunk.
I think he means Bastion Booger, because it wasn't bigger.
Right. Big boogers.
I do watch Dark Side of the Ring. I don't know if they have any new episodes currently. I haven't watched in a while. I used to record them. Now I just randomly check on demand.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that many. My cousin, who actually told me about the Long Island show, he's really into the Dark Side of the Ring. He keeps trying to get me to watch him, but I'm like, I'll fit it in. Like, I'm on this stream, I'm on that.
Some of them are really good.
Yeah.
Because Jericho narrates now. Jim Cornette and Jim Ross are heavily involved with the storytelling. Bruce Pritchard's heavily involved with the storytelling. They got the screw. I've watched the screw job. I don't know how many times, because it's just another perspective. Because everybody's heard the story a billion different times from everybody involved.
Right.
It's interesting to hear Jim Cornette and Vince Russo and Bruce Pritchard talk about it in here. And when the three don't get along, mainly Russo and Cornette, they hate each other. Because Cornette talks about, I'm going to live long enough to piss on his grave and all this. There's real hate there. It's interesting storylines. It really is. Hardy Boys, Legion of Doom. The Fabulous Ones, one of the best tag teams, along with Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich. We're going a bit older in the eras here. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. A lot of votes for the Hardy Boys, though. I'm interested to see if Jeff ends up in AEW.
I hope he does.
I'm sure he will. Because as soon as he got released, you had Sammy Guevara post a picture of him with Jeff Hardy when he was a kid. The day he got released.
Oh, yeah. No,
so there's your hint. And plus, Matt's there.
It's good. Well, yeah, I knew Matt's there, but yeah, it's gonna happen now. Once they do that tie.
I just hope he can stay clean long enough. That's his problem. He just can't stay clean. If this dude can stay clean, he probably would still be in WWE.
I still remember TNA Victory Road
With Sting.
11 in 2001 with Sting.
Oh, that was bad. I watched it live when it happened too. That was horrible.
That was not a good day.
The thing I remember the most about it is Sting walking up the ramp and you hear people yelling, "That sucked," and he goes, "I agree.
I know.
I agree.
Yes. I'm sorry. What do you want me to do about it?"
He literally had to hold him down like, "Nope, we're ending this, you idiot." Edge and Orton. Rated RKO. Underrated tag team.
Favorite. That was one of my favorite ones. They got injured or kayfabe with the. Oh no, it was DX.
They had an angle with DX where they dressed up as them with the big nose and the chaps and all that shit.
Triple H blew his quad out.
Yes, he did.
And
that's what spun us into Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker for Mania. So that's blessing in disguise right there.
Yeah, true.
Joel, the quintessential stud muffin Gertner, was the best part of Dudley's for me. So now we're talking ECW Dudleys.
Yes.
Like Cronus and Saturn more than the Dudleys. They were intense. You can't tell me they weren't hurting people. I've watched their matches. Mm-hmm. They looked stiff. Them dudes looked like they were hurting people. I would not have wanted to wrestle them in ECW. That's an injury waiting to happen. They look stiff. Legion of Doom just looked raw. They did. The Von Erichs. WCCW.
That's the
world class. They carried a company.
Classics right here.
One of the Dark Side of the Rings is on the Von Erichs.
Okay.
That's a good one to watch. With Carrie. Not Carrie. Kevin. I think it's Kevin. Yeah. I think it's Kevin.
Okay.
He's barefoot all the time. It's kind of weird. He lives on an island with his kids, and he's barefoot all the time, like a hippie.
Hey, that works.
How did you feel when Taker Street got broke? I broke with it too. I was surprised they did it. I didn't want it to end either. I thought it's something that should have stood the test of time. Why end it? Brock Lesnar didn't need it.
Right. Football has Dolphins.
Just like Roman didn't need to beat him.
Right.
That didn't need to happen. Neither one of them needed it. Roman, if anything, more than Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar did not need that.
Right, but neither should have. Make it like I said, like NFL has the Miami Dolphins, undefeated season. Like make that the undefeated thing.
Yeah, because it can never be done again. Because it was a thing, you would have to physically book it. Because it kind of just happened along the way, and they're like, "Hey, we got something here. Let's run with it."
Right.
Midway through the damn thing, like they got to 14-0 when they realized, "Hey, Mark's never lost at WrestleMania. I think we should do something with that."
Right.
They just stumbled upon it. You couldn't book something like that without everybody realizing you're booking it that way.
Not anymore. No.
The Bushwhackers. We got the back-to-back Bushwhackers. I don't watch wrestling anymore.
Understand.
Well, AEW revived the love. I mean, I've always loved it, and I've always given it a chance. I always watch. Impact Wrestling's a joke, no matter who you bring in. Sad that Ring of Honor's pretty much done now. That was a nice alternative. But, new Brock is the best Brock. Yeah, I love his new character. He's got personality now. Before, he would just stand there while Paul Heyman would talk. Now he talks first, and he didn't need Paul Heyman. It's just kind of bringing him back into the fold. But I love because I get what they're doing with the character, because for years he was just this intense dude that didn't say shit and destroys everybody. That was the character. Mm-hmm. It's got to be more terrifying that now he's happy-go-lucky, like the stuff he did with Sami Zayn. "Hey, buddy, we're friends. Let's go hunting." And then something triggers him and he destroys everything.
Right. Exactly.
I love that. It's showing range for him. For an otherwise bland physical character, it's giving him range.
Definitely. And he has good range, with his character.
Wild Samoans. Shout out to the Wild Samoans.
Hey.
Some lineage there. The Eliminators, Perry, Saturn, and Cronus. There we go. Another shot for them. Rest in peace to Flying Brian. Edge's spear on Jeff. Yeah, that's one of the best spots in the history of business. At WrestleMania, off the ladder, the spot?
Mm-hmm.
Where Jeff was hanging from the ring, from the belt? Yep, spear off the ladder. That was
classic tag team moment.
Oh, yeah. Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I actually have an autographed picture of Hacksaw Jim Duggan. It is Pardon me for a second.
You're good.
That's autographed Shawn Michaels and autographed Hacksaw Jim Duggan pictures right there.
Nice.
I have met them both. And no, Shawn wasn't a dick when I met him. I met him in the early 2000s.
Those are good memories.
He didn't ruin himself for me. I was horrified he was going to because I knew he was a dick, you know?
Right.
Going into it. He didn't ruin it for me.
That's always good when you meet your like icons and who you look at. Hey, Eva.
Shout outs to Eva.
Good to see you. Also, thank you.
Sexy
That's my comment. Yeah.
I know that's an inside thing.
Thank you.
Austin Idol. Doesn't ring a bell. Do you remember Austin Idol?
I remember Austin Aries. I don't remember Austin Idol.
Oh, yeah. That's another one that had so much potential, but he's too much of a prick.
He really is that's why I couldn't consider him.
He ruined it for himself.
Exactly. And
he was very good. He was great in TNA's heyday. And he could have did things with WWE that he ruined his reputation with the indies because he's just such a dick.
Right.
Wrestler that had no skills whatsoever but got pushed. In my opinion, Great Khali. Fun to watch, however, couldn't wrestle for shit. Size and stature will definitely get you a push in the WWE. Vince McMahon's a mark for big guys because it's such a rare thing. Even if they can't do anything super athletic, they're still such a rare human to have somebody massive like the Great Khali. So I get why they did it. I get the push. Crush it.
I'd agree with that too. Great Khali.
Yeah, that's a fair statement because it's like with Omos right now. The dude's gigantic. He just squashed AJ Styles on Monday Night Raw. That was the way they booked it. That's the way they should book it. AJ Styles shouldn't stand a chance. No one should. Right. It should be like Big Show in his biggest run where it's just impossible to beat him, you know? You got to do some sideways dirty shit with weapons to try to beat him. Alexandria et Sauvage Elixir. That is a damn good fragrance. Bring back ECW. Yeah, if only. AEW needs to desperately trim the roster or expand how they feature the roster, which they're trying to. They have Elevation, they have Dark on YouTube. They do house shows, and then they have the 2 TV shows, and then a couple pay-per-views a year. So they're trying to expand it, but I mean, there's such a smorgasbord of talent available to them. I don't blame them for saying, I'll take you. Ooh, you would make a great storyline with this person. Like, I'm still waiting on Bray Wyatt to show up somewhere. Braun Strowman's kind of doing the independent thing, but, I mean, I still can't believe they released Bray Wyatt. They were misusing the Fiend character. They basically gave his gimmick to Alexa Bliss.
Right.
And said, we don't need you.
Not her fault.
No,
a lot of people want to blame her. No, not her fault.
She has no say in how she gets booked.
Exactly.
She gets paid to do what she's told. All of them do.
And then like they booked her knowing that she's like engaged and all this, so like she's gonna show off like, hey, look at my ring with my boyfriend, fiance, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like they put her in a bad for kayfabe.
Yeah, they did. They definitely did.
Yeah.
Everything's behind the scenes in front of you these days. It takes away some of the mystique.
It does.
Where being an educated fan mattered more then. You know, whereas you can read a storyline a mile away still if you're into it like we are. They let you see too much these days. They're friends and the web shows they do together and all that when they're in a current feud. More wrestling talk, great conversations. Wrestling channel soon. Not necessarily. TLTG Wrestling. Here we go. I have other interests outside of fragrances, you know, as does Joe.
Sports and gaming for me, and travel, but sports and gaming are like 2 of the other things that I'll like sit down and do when I'm not on stream.
Well, see, travel's not the biggest thing for me, but gaming for sure. Gaming for sure. That's a love and passion. That's kind of another generational thing for us. Our generation, we grew up playing consoles, you know.
Exactly.
Judas in my mind. There we go.
Of course.
I don't know wrestling, way out of touch, but Hulk Hogan not considered an all-time great or Sting. They are. They fall in, because some people will argue Hulk Hogan is number 1 for selling tickets, you know, because he sold out everything for years and years and years. Hulk Hogan was wrestling. He surpasses wrestling as a business. He was the first to really do that. He was bigger than the business.
Right.
But then you have people like The Rock, who just belittle and dwarf Hulk Hogan's accomplishments as far as going above and beyond the business. So
right.
For his matches meaning something, there's an argument for him being in that top 5. There's an argument for him way over Chris Jericho, obviously. And then
Right.
same thing with Sting. There's an argument for Sting, and everybody's top 5 will be different. I think top 10s will have a lot of similarity.
Right.
Where
Top
there'll be a
10s.
few that are different, but the overall idea for who's the best of the best, there'll be a lot of the same names showing up.
Right. The only thing for me with Sting is just his and through no fault of his own. I know Seth Rollins injured him with the buckle bomb, and
Mm-hmm.
his WWE career was that takes a hurt to like lower
Hurts the
his
legacy
tier.
a little bit.
Right.
But the body of work in his prime run,
right.
even as the high top, the blonde high top and everything, when he was all
thing.
Mr. Charisma, high energy, before he added depth to the character and went dark. During those late 80s to 2000, and even what he did in TNA, he had a great career in TNA. That was possibly the height of his career, really, of it meaning the most.
Joker Sting.
Yeah, Joker Sting was the highlight of his career. For me, that was the best. Because that you want to talk about adding range to a character. That was great. Him sitting on top of the Coke machine laughing when the camera pans in. That was out of the woodworks for Sting. That was great.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you brought up Joker Sting. So there's an argument for both of them being in the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Spitting wrestler. Toothpick or the gum? Oof. That's tough.
Mr. Perfect.
Because I was going to say that because every time I have a toothpick, I don't flick it at somebody, but I'll be damned every time I don't chew gum, I spit it out and slap it with my hand.
Exactly.
That's Kurt Hennig's fault.
Mm-hmm.
That stuck with me more than the toothpicks. I'm with you. I think it's Kurt Hennig's gum. Yeah, Jericho's always been good on the mic.
He has.
Some of his more recent promos have been some of the best of his career.
Especially now with AEW.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. His last 3 years on the mic, especially, I would say the promos to really start the American Top Team beef, those were some of the best he's had in a long time.
Absolutely. That's what I was thinking of, too.
Rolling right into the fat-faced dipshit comments and all that. It was gold. Getting pops, and he was not missing a beat. There was no pause, no nothing. He was just rolling. And it all meant something. It all was great. And it would tie into the baby and all the old type of stuff he would do. He's still staying true to the character.
Right.
So, I got to give him that. Stop wrestling. Stop.
Yes.
Please stop. Please.
No more.
I don't need anybody, including yourself, continuing to get hurt every time you step in the ring. I love Goldberg as a person, as an intense human being that stays in incredible shape his entire life. But for the love of God, stop coming back.
Stop.
Please. Bill, I know you're probably not going to see this, but if you see this, please stop. I don't care how much they pay you. Stop. I actually have only smelled Sunshine Man once, and I don't really remember it. I have a small decant of it in a box somewhere that Sam Broom sent me, and I don't recall the scent profile well enough to recommend any alternatives. Right. Are you familiar with Sunshine Man, Joe?
Unfortunately, I am not really familiar with many Amouage outside of Reflection Man and Opus 8, which I own from their Opus collection. So
never tried Opus 8, but I'm very familiar with Reflection Man. That's my jam.
Right. Reflection's really good.
For life. I have several NWO shirts. 80s wrestling was the best for me, and that's probably when you were young. That's probably why. Because when we were young was the Attitude Era.
Exactly.
Dark Side of the Ring's pretty good. I recommend it if you're a wrestling fan. I agree, Ken. Some of the stories are great. Some of the stories you would never hear of if it wasn't for them doing documentaries. Wolfpack or NWO. NWO was a spin-off of bad booking, I think. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, I liked it, but as an adult looking back, I think NWO Red and Black was a bad booking move. because it took
Yes.
away Sting. It made Sting become part of the thing he was fighting against for so long.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing for me. Was it kind of devalued Sting? What do you
Absolutely.
think?
I mean, I'm not too familiar with everything of that time, but from what I do recall, I would have to agree with what you're saying right now. So,
Because it went from Sting being the renegade to
Mhm.
part of the problem.
Right. He
To
joined the
where it's
machine.
all NWO booking on the shows all the time. That was at the point when it was too much NWO.
Right.
Because that was a thing. There was too much NWO at one point. WWF era was the best. Blue World Order, the Blue Meanie.
A blue mini.
It's
Under
Stevie
you.
Richards. What's going on, Dave? The Rex Reviews, how are you? Ken's still in the house. ECW was definitely stiff. Every match seemed to be stiff as all shit, Ken. Especially Perry Saturn. Perry Saturn and New Jack were probably the two stiffest ECW wrestlers. God rest New
Mhm.
Jack's soul and Perry Saturn and all these guys that aren't with us anymore.
Right.
But good lord, I would not have wanted to wrestle them, especially New Jack. New Jack didn't give a shit. He would stab you, he'd do all that stuff.
That's some Cafe Ken.
Taz.
Taz submission machine.
What do you think about Hook? Speaking of Taz.
Actually I got a chance to see Hook in Long Island. I like him. I want to see more of him before I have, because that was my first time even hearing of him. I went with my cousin's friend. He's actually like a actor and stuff, but
Because Cody
he
trained him.
yeah, he was. I noticed that too. That now that you're saying that, I had no thing. It's funny because he's like, "It's Hook. You should know who Hook is," and I'm like,
Well, they
"No."
ran with it. The whole send Hook thing is because
Uh-huh.
CM Punk said it on the mic when he was
Right.
calling out Team Taz, and he was saying, send so-and-so, send Hook. Where's Hook? So they
Okay.
kind of
Right.
ran
Right.
with it. Now it's send Hook every time he comes out.
That's why. Okay, so that makes
That's
more
where
sense.
that comes
He was
from.
like, you should know who he is, and I'm like,
Yeah, he's got his own font for his name. Like, they're running
right,
with Hook. They're going to try to build Hook. And the only thing I don't like about Hook is he hasn't learned the art of selling for your opponent.
that's very
That he's trying too hard to be too tough all at once. And I think they need to guide him a little bit better on the value of selling and being able to put somebody over in certain spots. You can still look tough, that you can take a ton of abuse and give a ton of abuse and
right.
still have some spots. Goldberg was terrible about that, selling for somebody with a big move. It shouldn't
Absolutely.
be this 180-pound 20-year-old can take this big move, and as soon as you turn your back, he gets right up and kind of shrugs it off and does this with his head. It's a
Right.
little much for the beginning of his career, I think. But hey,
Right.
what do I know? I'm not back there booking. I'm just a fan. You know, that's the only thing I don't like about what they're doing with Hook. It's like they're building the next skinny Goldberg.
Yeah, they should have done that for Powerhouse Hop. If they were gonna like give him that booking, it would make more sense because he's swole.
He's huge, and for
big.
God's sakes, his name's Powerhouse Hop.
Right.
You know, that would make more sense. I'm all about make it make sense. Tough on the emotions.
Okay.
Best tag team feud. PG-13 versus the Rock and Roll Express. He's definitely an 80s baby.
That's
An 80s kid. Like, he was a kid in the 80s for sure.
That's a classic. Yeah, that's wow.
Yeah, that's before. Like, I was very, very, very like a baby, a toddler during that feud. You
Right.
know? What would be your favorite tag team feud you've ever seen or witnessed, or a favorite tag team storyline?
Honestly, I think because the booking was just good for me then, it would be the RKO with the DX reunion.
Rated RKO versus DX.
That would, because it was give and take on both sides until Triple H got hurt. Then they had to wrap it up really quick. But even the way they wrapped it up with Shawn Michaels taking the sledgehammer, hitting Edge to then now cause Orton and Edge to go off. Like, as a story, it still worked completely through and through. And I remember being like 13, just being like, oh my God. oh my god,
So I have one for you that's going to surprise you, and it's a modern feud that's been going on for the last 10 years, and it's New Day versus the Usos. Because that's a feud that continues to bear fruit. That's always a great spot to watch. That it's always a built-in competitive storyline. If nothing else, they are friends behind the scenes. Everybody knows that. But the competitive nature and the athletic ability and the ability to still tell a story in the match with the athleticism, because usually you get one or the other sometimes, where if it's too athletic, they lose the ability to draw emotion and tell a story.
Right.
The psychology of the matches are there, and they always have that to go back to. So believe it or not, as modern of a feud as it gets, Usos and the New Day.
I could see that too, especially since like we've had different chapters. We had it where Kofi was a champion. We had it when Big E was a champion and Roman was the champion on one side.
We've had the Usos as baby faces, as Uso
Heels.
Penitentiary. Now it's the Bloodline. We've had all these different stages.
That's
Kofi, like you said, Kofi was a champion. There was times when it was Big E and Kofi. There was times when it was Big E and Woods. Now Woods is King Woods. There's so many different things that have evolved and changed in the feud because it's been going on for so long, and they're always able to go back to it.
XPW.
I don't remember XPW.
I don't.
Random topics other than main topics. Yeah, we're just chatting. This is something that he and I have been wanting to do for a long time. The wrestling talk. Yeah, we've hinted at doing this for a long time, and as soon as we agreed to do this, I knew we were going to segue into the wrestling talk.
Exactly.
Shawn Michaels is the GOAT. Ken remembers Austin Idol, so there you go. JR, how are you? Wrestled in Mid-South against Lawler. Okay. Did not know that. Shout outs to Jerry Lawler. How do you not? There's another one that's definitely top 10. That's definitely a top 10 career. I just can't put Jerry Lawler in top 5 because it was territorial most of his career.
Right.
But that's a top 10 all-time career for his ability to work and his ability to work a psychology of a match and tell a story. And he's I think he's to this day the most decorated champion of all time still. I think Jerry Lawler's won more titles than anyone in history.
Right. He's up there for sure.
See, there's just as soon as you see a name, it's like, shit, how can we leave out Jerry Lawler, you know?
Right. Absolutely.
I do. His mannerisms, the way he carries himself, he is this generation's Shawn Michaels. I always think Shawn Michaels when I watch Adam Cole.
And he was trained by him in NXT.
Yeah. Now, granted, Adam Cole's had a longer career than that, but he's been able to take cues from Shawn Michaels for like the last 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years. He's been able to be under the tutelage of Shawn Michaels. And a lot of the way he carries himself, he can be such a little shit heel that can work with anyone and do all the spots. He's kind of the modern day take on Shawn Michaels.
That's a very...
Because he's the little guy that can do it all. Literally all. He's got the connection with the fans. He's a blazing heel right now. And everybody's, Adam Cole, baby, with him the whole time. Boom, and he's a heel. You know? That's Shawn Michaels type of shit. Shawn Michaels was the same way. That was the height of the feud right there.
Right.
Reformed HBK.
You know, really quick too, Adam Cole is a little bit of Chris Jericho also, since we've been talking about him. You know, the Bay part is what he took from, he got that.
Yeah, that's from Chris Jericho.
From Chris Jericho. And he said like he kind of watched some of his promos. And so like, it's like the wrestling he got from Shawn and then the promos he got from Jericho and like just fused them together. Well,
that's two of my favorites. So I'm glad he did that because I've been an Adam Cole fan since the Indies.
Yes.
Back when, you know, the highlight of the Bucks and everything. Because the Bucks, their little run in TNA, I remember their run in TNA, and they did not get a push. They were great high spot artists at the time. They couldn't really tell a story, whereas now they can tell a story. They didn't have that in them 15 years ago when they were newer.
I like them in Ring of Honor. I like them with on the Mount Rushmore with KO. With
AJ was some of my favorite, though. They were doing everything with AJ.
AJ was good, I guess just because again it tied into Cole, so then I was like, oh yeah, my moment is for sure with them. But AJ was really good. Cannot forget that time too, because
Well, their 6-man tag matches they would do when AJ was the leader of the Bullet Club was some of my favorite Young Buck stuff, because their triple tag team, their triple finish was AJ would get him up, they would super kick him in the face, and then he would hit the Styles Clash. It was a great finish.
There's just so many tag. I mean, that's a whole nother tag team too. I completely, not that I forgot about, but the Bullet Club, like, that was more of an era even, because
that's
like,
a stable.
The shirt,
and that's a stable more so than a tag team, because it's so many guys, you know.
Right. But still,
because that's during Kenny Omega's real heyday. Don't get me wrong, I still think Kenny Omega is one of the top 3 in the world right now. But New Japan Kenny Omega, I put him up on his performances up against anything.
Prince Devitt, Finn Balor.
God, they have watered down Finn Balor so much in WWE. But I get it, he's making a lot of money. I'd stay put too. Bray as a Mystery Royal Rumble entry. That would be a great move, but why'd they cut him in the first place? Because they just released him out of the blue.
But they're still selling. It's weird because they're still selling his titles and stuff. So it's like you could still get his title, right? I was looking,
because they own the rights to the character.
Well, yeah,
he can't be Bray Wyatt anywhere else, or the film,
right?
You know.
Well, I'm just saying, like, for some other characters, they've like cut them and then removed their merch. Like, it's like, but you're still selling that title. Is like, huh?
So an interesting Braun Strowman comment. Did you see his little walk-in on the last Ring of Honor show as Titan with EC3?
I missed
so
it.
Check it out on YouTube after.
Okay.
Everybody freaked out because he showed up at Ring of Honor's last show as Titan.
Gotcha.
Because I follow him. I follow Adam on Instagram. So I didn't know he was going to do that, but I knew he was doing some indie shows. He's been making appearances lately. He's leaned up a lot. He looks like a freaking almost stage-ready bodybuilder right now.
Absolutely. And
I don't know how anybody hasn't signed him yet. I still don't know how they cut. Like, look, for storyline purposes, I don't understand how Bray Wyatt got released. But for absolutely just being over, how do you release Braun Strowman at the height of him being over? That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
There was a lot of releases that didn't make sense this past year.
A lot.
Oh, yeah, The Rock in his prime, greatest of all time on the stick.
Yeah.
90s, early 2000s Rock, greatest stick of all time. Don't sleep on Stone Cold. See, we didn't even mention Stone Cold. He's probably number 1.
For some people, he is. For me, he's top 5 in my opinion.
He is top 5, hands down. You know, and I listed out 5 with leaving him off, because that's the thing. There's so many great careers. That's the greatest when it comes to selling things, the greatest career of all time. During his heyday, no one was more over than Steve Austin. No one in the history of the business has ever been more over than Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Right.
Hulk Hogan was never as over as he was. Cena was never that over. They were over historically, but not like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Exactly.
And hell, to have Vince McMahon induct you and say the greatest WWE superstar of all time, that should tell us enough right there. Well, yeah, that's this guy's favorite wrestler, Dave. He's a big CM Punk mark.
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to get caught up because we've been almost 2 hours. I think this is a good spot to go ahead and shut it down. You know what I mean? I know I got a few other things to do. You probably got some stuff going on too. And then you got like 5 or 6 more streams to be on tonight.
Well, no, I'm just going to do Joey's tonight. Like I said, like I always, at the end of the day, we'll always call back to Joey's just because that's family. That's doing not literal family, but we might as well be as close as everyone in there is. We're like the inner circle, if
there you go. There you go. I like that. The inner circle. So, well, Joe, I appreciate you coming on here and spending an hour and 50 minutes with me. We talked some unaverage fragrance picks in the beginning, and of course, we got to talk some wrestling. I've been looking forward to talking wrestling with you more than fragrances, honestly.
Yes, and I look forward to us we'll do this again. You know.
Yeah, we're gonna do more. This is just the beginning.
Absolutely, I appreciate the chat who's come through. The
Yes.
energy, I love the conversation, the dialogue, and everything. I love the energy of like what you bring to YouTube and everything. So
I
the
appreciate
community
that, my
you
man.
got, it's awesome. It's rock solid. And as somebody who's been doing it for a long time and watching you too, like I gotta give you your flowers while I can. So
I
awesome
appreciate that,
job.
man. The thing I respect the most about you, Joe, is you've been doing it for so long. As I've said a couple of times in this stream, it's criminal how small your channel is for as long as you've been around. Please check out unAVERAGE Joe. The link is in the description, guys.
Thank
And
you.
you're not bitter. That's the point I'm getting to. You haven't become bitter over it, because some people get bitter. You're just an unAVERAGE Joe. What can I say?
With my Sour
With the
Patch
Sour
Kids.
Patch Kids, the custom box unAVERAGE Joe
Exactly.
mix.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you everybody that stopped in. Thank you to everybody that hung around for the wrestling banter. And Joe, I appreciate you, brother. We will be doing this again very, very soon, within the coming weeks at the very least. One more time, guys, an unAVERAGE Joe, link at the top of the video description. Make sure to go check out his content. If you like what you see, turn the red subscribe button into the gray subscribed button. And until next time on the next video, we'll see you then, guys. Y'all have a good one.